Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be discussing this, my new ITX PC. I built it about a week ago, so I'm going to show a bit of B-roll to get this video started, just to show you how the build went. So why did I decide to build this PC and what was I looking to achieve? If you've watched my videos before, you will know that I am a Mac user most of the time. This, however, isn't my first PC build. Roughly 5 to 6 years ago I did build my own PC, so this is the second one that I've actually built myself. This is definitely the smallest PC that I've ever built. As you can see, the chassis is very small. That was one of the main things I wanted to achieve from this. Generally, I don't really like big PC towers. I think they take up a lot of space, and for most people I think those sizes of cases are quite unnecessary, as you can still get great power and great cooling from a case like this. I have a set of IKEA cubes next to my desk, and one of the main requirements of this PC was to be able to fit in one of those cubes. As you can see, I did manage that. There's actually quite a lot of room spare. And I'm really happy about this, as building this PC didn't actually add any extra clutter to my room or setup. Additionally, I wanted this PC to be powerful enough to edit my videos. So this year I'm trying to do a lot more videos, maybe about 1 or 2 a week. And for editing my videos so far, I've been using a 15-inch MacBook Pro. That isn't actually mine, it's my work laptop, so I really wanted to kind of move away from that and start editing on a machine that is actually mine. And finally, as we're still in lockdown in the UK, I wanted something to play games on. So I needed the PC to be powerful enough to play games at 1440p on my monitor. As I'm sure you already know if you're interested in building PCs, it is very hard to get hold of the latest PC parts, which is why quite a lot of the PC parts inside my ITX PC aren't actually the latest generation from AMD or NVidia. So for the processor, I went for a Ryzen 5 3600. This seems to be one of the most popular processors that's actually in stock on websites right now. And then I've paired that with a GTX 1070. I actually bought that used off Facebook Marketplace for about £200. So far I've had no issues at all with it, but we'll see how long it lasts for me. Ideally in the future I'd like to get a 3060 Ti, but I'll see how this card does for me. If it performs well enough for my needs, then there's no point in really upgrading just to have the latest card. And then the other parts I got for the PC is a B550M motherboard, 16GB of DDR4 RAM clocked at 3200 MHz, a 1TB M.2 SSD, a 600 watt modular power supply, and a Cooler Master CPU fan. So as this PC is only the second one I've ever built, I wasn't 100% sure how successful the build was going to go and how easy it was, especially because the last time I built a PC, as I mentioned, was roughly 5 to 6 years ago. I was actually quite surprised with how well I remembered how to do things. There is quite a few components in here that I didn't install in my last PC just because of how long ago it was. Things like the M.2 SSD, and also this was the first time that I used thermal paste and put on my own CPU cooler instead of using the one that was included with the processor. Something that also made this build a little bit trickier was just the size of the case. At least that's what I was worried about, but I was quite pleasantly surprised that once you remove the different hard drive bays that there's actually a lot of space in here. Because I'm only using the M.2 SSD, I didn't need any of those bays, so I just took them all out and there was loads of space to fit everything inside here that I needed to. I think it took me roughly 4 to 5 hours from start to finish, including installing Windows, which I think is pretty good. So since the build I've only encountered a few issues. One of the issues was that I tried to up the clock speed of the RAM in here. The RAM that I bought is advertised at 3200 MHz. However, the stock clock speed of it was 2400 MHz. I went into the BIOS and tried to up that, and I actually completely killed the computer and I had to reset the CMOS sensor and take it back down to 2400 MHz. I haven't tried to up the clock speed again since then. I do want to do it at some point, but I just got a little scared by what happened. So if anyone has any suggestions on why that might have happened, please let me know in the comments. The only other issues I've really had has been kind of small driver problems, mainly because all the peripherals I've decided to use with this PC are wireless. So I'm using a Bluetooth pair of headphones, a Bluetooth keyboard, and then a wireless Corsair mouse which has its own dongle. The Corsair mouse has been absolutely fine and the keyboard has generally also been fine. However, the headphones have had quite a lot of connectivity issues with the Bluetooth on the PC. I did buy a separate Bluetooth dongle instead of using the built-in Bluetooth just because I thought that might be a bit more reliable. So far I have had some connection issues and also quite a few driver errors, which has been a little frustrating. So like the last problem, if you know why that might be happening, I'd appreciate you letting me know. Generally though, I'm really happy with how this PC has turned out. The performance has been great. I've only had time this past week to play a couple of games. I played a bit of Call of Duty Warzone and I'm getting about 80 FPS at 1440p on the highest settings, which I think is pretty good. I've also played a bit of The Witcher at 1440p high settings and I've been getting about 60 FPS for that. I also edited the B-roll for the PC build using Premiere Pro and the performance for that was fine. I noticed the scrubbing of the timeline wasn't quite as smooth as I'd like. This is in 1080p as well, opposed to 4K, so maybe I need to play around with the settings here, as I'm pretty sure it should scrub a bit better than it has been. And finally, as you'll have seen if you follow me on social media, I have bought quite a few new peripherals and different setup tweaks to go along with this new PC, so I'll definitely be doing a new setup tour within the next month or so. I'm actually moving flat at the end of next month, so I'll probably do one setup tour before I move and then another one in my new flat. But that's pretty much everything for this video. If you have any more questions about the build, please ask them in the comment section. I will be including all the links to the parts I use for the PC in the description of this video, so if you are interested in buying any of them for yourself, then they'll be there for you. If you made it this far in the video, please give me a thumbs up. Do consider subscribing and also follow me on social media at JackJenkinsYT. That's about it for this video, so hopefully I'll see you in the next one.